Today we are going to explore the differences between the Leopardus pardalis, also known as the ocelot, and the Leopardus wiedii, also known as the margay. They may seem like the same animal at first glance, but there are some major differences between them. We're going to talk about what sets them apart, starting with their physical appearance. The major distinguishing feature is their size. The ocelot is a larger cat, weighing between 11 and 16 kilograms, and can be up to 110 centimeters long. The margay is a smaller cat, weighing only 3 to 9 kilograms, with a maximum body length of 79 centimeters. Despite being the larger cat, the ocelot has a shorter tail that does not reach the ground. For the margay, the tail is quite long. This is because of their arboreal tendencies. A long tail is important for balance. The margays also have significantly larger eyes. Now, you might be wondering where they come from, or where you can see them in the wild, should you be so lucky. Unfortunately, you won't see them around here. Both the ocelot and the margay inhabit the tropical rainforests of South America, including some parts of northern Mexico, Central America, and northern Argentina. Tropical rainforests provide a hot and moist environment with no dry season. The key here is a well-structured vegetation cover. These rainforests contain an above canopy layer and an understory layer, which is where these felids tend to live. Moving on to reproduction. Both species can reproduce year-round, but typically only have a litter every 2 years. The ocelots usually only have one kitten, and it's very rare to see more than that, while the margay could have 1 or 2. The gestation periods are generally the same, but sometimes the ocelots can be 2 weeks shorter. The ocelots are the slowest growing of all cats, reaching maturity around 2 years of age. The margays are fairly large at birth and reach maturity at 1 year. For both species, the males have no active role in raising young, but they do serve to protect the territory of 2 to 3 reproducing females at a time. Okay, let's talk about food. No, not that kind of food. Pay attention. This is where things start to change between the two species. We're going to discuss the type of prey they eat, how they digest it, the nutritional value of their prey, and some special nutrition considerations. Let's start with the ocelot diet. They are obligate carnivores, meaning they must live on a diet of meat because they do not have the enzymes required to digest plant material. Their diet consists of small mammals less than 1 kilogram, with rodents filling the majority. Ocelots are opportunistic ground hunters, so they will take almost any vertebrate prey they come across, which happens to be small nocturnal mammals, because ocelots are also nocturnal and hunt at night. While most of their diet is small mammals and rodents, they have been known to take down medium-large-sized mammals on occasion. The margay diet is different from the ocelot, in that they are arboreal hunters and feed mainly on arboreal mammals, arboreal reptiles, and birds. Because the margay is arboreal, it has broad feet that can rotate 180 degrees, allowing it to grip a tree trunk, making it the only cat that can climb vertically down a tree. It can also hang onto a branch with its hind feet, while manipulating prey with its front feet. Margays also have flexible toes, long claws, and a long tail that helps with its agility and acrobatic climbing. Despite their differences in prey and hunting styles, the margay is also an obligate carnivore. I've mentioned the term carnivore a couple times now, so let's see what that means for these cats. A carnivore's GI tract contains a simple stomach, small intestines, no caecum, and a short, indistinguishable colon. This image is from a domestic cat, but the principles remain the same. Being a carnivore means they must eat the whole prey animal because they have an inability to synthesize some amino acids, vitamins, and fatty acids. If they were to only eat certain parts of the carcass, they would become deficient in some essential nutrients. One example is taurine, an amino acid only essential for cats that they must get from their prey. Because there is no dry period in the tropical rainforest, neither of these cats run into difficulty finding prey, so lack of food source is not currently an issue they face, especially being opportunistic in nature. Now, let's do some math. Take a look at this table from Platinga and colleagues, who analyzed different prey species to determine their nutritional value to a feral street cat. We're going to use this data as a model for the Ocelot and Margay, because they're all felids and carnivores. This table shows us the amount of energy, crude protein, fat, minerals, and carbohydrates in each species of prey. Recall that ocelots eat small mammals like mice, rats, and immature rabbits, while margays eat arboreal mammals, reptiles, and birds. Now take a look at a similar table from a study by Bennett and colleagues. We're going to use the values of gross energy in kcal per gram to determine how much food our cats need to eat. Before we can figure out, for example, how many mice they need to eat, we need to know how much energy they require on a daily basis. First, we must calculate the basal metabolic rate, which is a measurement of the rate of energy expenditure for endothermic animals at rest. There are a few different ways to calculate BMR that I've illustrated for you here, but we're going to focus on the second method, in which the formula calculates the energy requirements of vertebrate-eating mammals. According to this calculation, an average 13.5 kilogram ocelot requires 760 kcals per day, and an average 6 kilogram margay requires 394 kcals per day. Remember these values, because we're going to need them later. Next, we must calculate the daily energy expenditure. For a terrestrial eutherian mammal, it is the basal metabolic rate multiplied by 2.3. So the daily energy expenditure for the ocelot is 1748 kcals per day, and for the margay, the daily energy expenditure is 906 kcals per day. The energy requirements for growth is calculated as 2 times the adult basal metabolic rate. So for the ocelot, it works out to be 1520 kcals per day, and for the margay, it is 788 kcals per day. The energy requirements for reproduction are usually fairly demanding on a species, up to 3 times BMR for gestation and 4 to 7 times BMR for lactation. However, eutherian mammals with high BMRs show no increase in energy requirements for reproduction. Most felids have higher than expected BMRs in order to compensate for the demands of reproduction. Now let's make some sense of all this information. Recall that table I showed you earlier. If a spiny pocket mouse provides 5.6 kcals per gram and weighs approximately 20 grams, one mouse will provide 112 kcals of energy. We know that the ocelot requires 760 kcals per day, so it would need to consume 7 mice per day. If an immature common quail provides 5.8 kcals per gram and weighs approximately 15 grams, one quail will provide 87 kcals of energy. We know the margay requires 394 kcals per day, so it would need to consume 4.5 birds per day. You can imagine how much time is spent each day just hunting. And there you have it, the ocelot and the margay. If you're still hungry for more information, check out the list of references used in this video on the next page. Thanks for watching!